This is awesome.
I think we're live. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. I'm Stephanie with Pure Harmony Toxin Free Beauty and Lifestyle, and I'm here with Kylene Terhune.
I'm Kylene Terhune, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner as my phone falls down. It's good. We're out in a windy public area, so hopefully the sound is okay and the video is going to work. All right.
Yes. So if
it does that too many times,
hopefully we can see your questions, but still go ahead and ask them, and we can always come back later and get to them. But I am always excited to have Kylene with me because she's my little expert in so many things,
Thank you.
including how to detox from so many different things in the world, including heavy metal toxicity. I've been talking a little bit about heavy metals in makeup and how to make sure that you are eliminating them as much as possible from your cosmetics and makeup, and how to find products that don't have them. But Kylene is here to tell us about some common heavy metals, how people tend to accumulate them, and some tips on how to detox from heavy metals. So with that said, Kylene, what do you see in your practice as being some of the most common heavy metals that your clients are working through?
So probably the most common, the top two would be mercury and aluminum. Underneath that, you're probably going to get lead, and maybe some arsenic. I think I just had a client test show some arsenic. So
yikes.
But mercury and aluminum are fairly common, and there's some reasons for that. But the thing with heavy metals, the reason that you really want to be conscientious about it is because they can actually, it's one of those toxins that can store up in your body over time. So they get into your bones and your tissues, and your body will basically store. It's a protection mechanism. So you want to make sure that you have the resources, that your body has the resources to detox, and you do it in a safe way, because we know that it can affect your brain. Heavy metals are highly neurotoxic. So that's one of the primary things that we want to focus on.
Yeah. So for mercury poisoning, what are some common symptoms of mercury?
Well, a lot of heavy metals are going to give you like brain fog, inflammation, fatigue, memory issues. So if you're having like neurological problems or like excessive fatigue, and maybe you've had like other health issues like a lot of gut problems or hormone imbalances and things like that, anything that's more chronic, you want to make sure that you're checking for heavy metals and mineral status. They kind of go hand in hand. But a lot of times if you're thinking heavy metals, you're thinking about neurological processes. So motor functions, if you're thinking about preventing different neurological diseases, what happens with those neurological diseases, you get a lot of memory problems, you get, maybe some speech issues, you get motor functions start to slow down. And so we want to make sure that we're supporting our bodies as much as we can, and addressing heavy metals is a big, big thing for that.
Yeah. So are you finding for things like mercury, how much of that is like from your water or your food, or versus like your fillings or your home?
Yeah, so it just sort of depends on the person, their medical history, their exposures, and also their natural genetic ability to detoxify and what kind of lifestyle they have. So our bodies have natural detox systems, and they're pretty good at it. However, we can have some genetic tendencies that make detoxification difficult for us. Now, the good thing is that our genetics can be turned on or turned off, but this is primarily through our lifestyle. So maybe if someone was raised on a standard American diet, maybe they were surrounded by smoke, maybe they were drinking tap water. I mean, these are a lot of things that add up in terms of toxicity, and you're more likely under stressful situations like that to have these genes, I guess you'd say activated or turned on. And if these mutations and these SNPs are active and they're hindering your ability to detox, then these exposures are going to become more of an issue for you. Whereas someone else maybe just has some mercury fillings, and that's like their only exposure. They live a really healthy lifestyle, and those genes are deactivated even if they have them, and it's not a problem for them.
Yeah.
So it just really depends on the person. But a lot of things that you mentioned, we have mercury fillings. We can get heavy metals through our tap water, so it's really important to make sure that you're drinking purified water. And different cities are going to have different things. So actually, I just looked at one of my clients' zip codes on ewg.org and looked at their tap water, and I was like, oh my gosh, you've got like a lot of arsenic in your water. Like, girl, you need a water purifier ASAP. This needs to be a priority for you. Things like that. So there's a lot of exposures. You mentioned makeup as well. One of the big ones that people don't really recognize is their deodorant. So that's a daily exposure to aluminum. So if you are using a deodorant that has antiperspirant, usually the active ingredient for antiperspirant, what makes it an antiperspirant, is aluminum. And so you're putting that right on your skin, right by your lymph nodes, and it's a daily absorption thing. So that's a big problem.
And usually after you've taken a shower and hot water and your pores have expanded, and oftentimes we've shaved our armpits. So it's just like a big double whammy. That's one of the things I always tell people. First thing that I recommend is you find a safe alternative for your deodorant. And it can be tough, especially because there's a process that is involved with detoxing from deodorant, and it can run the risk of being stinky. You can get a rash, but you know,
that's good.
There are detoxes you can do.
What's more important, your brain,
yes,
or your deodorant brain?
Right, and it's temporary. It's worth it in the long run to make sure that you're.
That was a big. So I'm gonna tell people a really embarrassing story. Yeah, they're just gonna get to know me really fast. So when I was a teenager, I had like this horrible phase of my life where I had the sweaty bits.
Yeah.
I mean, like, sweat through the clothes. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I would put like a sweater on top of my t-shirt, sweat through that. I would put feminine pads in my armpit.
Oh, that's
I mean,
so sad.
I didn't know what was happening. I was like 12 years old. I don't know. One day, and it felt like this was after, like, it felt, in child brain, like it was going on for years. I don't actually know how much time this was taking.
Yeah.
My mom told me she was going to the doctor. I was like, oh, hey, by the way, can you maybe ask about this?
Yeah.
So he sent her home with a prescription deodorant, and that just stopped it up right away. Like, I stopped sweating. I was like, oh, thank God. Like, so this is awesome. I'm not sweating, right? And so now as an adult, I'm like, what the heck was that? Like, what was in that deodorant? Like, I don't even know what it was. But ever after that, I was so concerned when I got off that prescription. I was so worried about sweating after that I would always actually read the labels on the back of deodorant, and I would look for the ones that had the highest percent of aluminum.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I heard that aluminum is associated with the development of Alzheimer's, and actually a lot of neurological things, like if you test, for example, children that have autism and things like that, a lot of brain associated disorders will have higher amounts of heavy metals in their systems, and so it's like I said earlier, it's highly neurotoxic. And so when I realized I was associated with Alzheimer's, I was like, I will do whatever it takes. I will never do these deodorants ever again.
Scary
stuff.
stuff.
I ended up switching, and it was okay, and I don't smell, I promise.
She doesn't. I'm right next to her. She doesn't. She smells lovely. So, yeah, and I think that's one of the things to think about. You mentioned people's ability to detox, and that's why it's so important. We talk a lot about toxic body burden in my group and why it's so important. We can't necessarily control everything that we're exposed to.
You want to live your life.
Right, and you don't want to live in fear. That's not something that I choose to do, but I choose to just do my best and then minimize as much toxic body load as possible. So that way when you do have things, whether it's in the water you drink or you touch something that has Roundup or some chemical on it, then your body has the ability to really
breathing room. It has breathing room and can do what it needs to do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So for people who may be experiencing symptoms or just want to try to detox whatever may be in their bodies, what would you recommend just for things you can do at home on a daily basis to minimize heavy metal detox?
Yeah, so
heavy metal toxicity.
Yeah. So at home stuff that you can do, I would absolutely look into purified water. I would personally recommend either like a structured water system for your whole home if that's a possibility. we're building a house right now, and we're going to be utilizing greenfieldnaturals.com. They have a whole house water system. It's an extremely affordable price. That's going to cover our showers, our cooking, our drinking water, everything, which is like amazing. So that's awesome. That's one way to do it. You can also do like an under the sink reverse osmosis for just drinking water. You can get screw on shower filters for your
Berkey's a good option too.
Berkey's, and on the top, like a countertop. So there's countertop options, there's drinking options. And so I would start with water for sure. You want to make sure that's good, because it's literally what sustains life, right? And so you're drinking it all day, every day. And if you do have this buildup, you don't want to be adding to it. Definitely say change your deodorant. That's probably one of the top things you can do immediately to make a big impact. Look at your cookware. So checking if you are using aluminum cookware or copper cookware or things that flake off, anything that gets scratched. Checking what the actual materials are that your cookware is. Sometimes they have several layers. And so if like the middle layer is aluminum and it's like 2 or 3 layers, that's not a big deal. That's okay. You're not going to get into that. But if it's like a top layer or Teflon isn't necessarily a heavy metal, but it's got all these other problems with it. So just looking into your cookware, that's definitely an exposure as well.
Your china too. So I learned recently that people, a lot of, back in, I don't know, was it the 90s where the Fiesta ware was so popular?
Oh.
And now it's been determined that the red Fiesta ware plates have I think it's cadmium. Some kind of radioactive
Fun.
thing going on with them. And then if you have your china that's scratched, you could be exposing yourself to lead poisoning.
So talking about, living your life a little bit, there was, and I'm going to totally get this wrong because I didn't research ahead of time, but I think there was something in contacts for like the longest time, like some sort of, but, I'm not sure if it's in them anymore. I'll have to do some research, but I wear contacts every single day. So again, it's like you want to be aware, but and lessen your burden as much as you possibly can. But then being able to do something that like literally helps you live your life, without stressing out about it because you've controlled all these other scenarios, right? Like, so another one would be changing your makeup. Again, things that you're drinking obviously gets into your body. Things that you're putting on your skin gets into your bloodstream. And again, heavy metals are something that build up into your tissues and your bones. So if you're putting it on, every single day, a lot of, I think, the exposures are from eye makeup. So like eyeliners in particular, and lipsticks are pretty notorious for that.
Right. Yeah. And I think also even eyeshadows and anything with pigmentation, because then you're dealing with, minerals from the earth that may or may not be sourced in a good way. So
and even sodas, like, I'm sorry to say it, but like I believe mercury has been found in high fructose corn syrup, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, there's so many different reasons. So talking about things you can do at home, obviously your water, your makeup, things that are like direct exposures of heavy metals like that. But then also supporting your detox processes. So those are easy things that you can do at home as well. So you want to make sure you're supporting your liver and everything that it needs to break things apart and flush it out of your system. So 2 things that are really important for heavy metal detox is to support your liver, like I just said, and I'll go into that in just a second, but also to support your mineral status. Without the right levels of minerals help heavy metals flush out of your system. And if you don't have a healthy mineral status in your body, then it's kind of like in a stress state, and your body is going to hold on to the heavy metals and say it's not safe to release these. Her body's not going to be able to handle it. So your liver has 2 phases of detoxification, and like the first phase primarily needs like antioxidants, so a lot of berries, vitamin C, glutathione, things like that. And the second phase needs amino acids, so protein. So making sure that you're getting a sufficient amount of these on a regular basis through a whole foods diet can be really, really helpful to support that liver. Things like cilantro and parsley are natural heavy metal detoxifiers as well. And if you don't like one, you can do the other because they're fairly similar. And then making sure you check your mineral status as well, and that you're at a healthy level so that your body can actually do its own natural processes and handle as you're flushing them out.
Well, thank you for those tips. Now, for people who may have more serious concerns, and probably a lot of your clients are seeing, I would say, multiple things, like multiple issues with heavy metals and gut health related things. So what can they do with a professional practitioner like yourself?
Yeah, so one thing I didn't mention is binders, and so depending on what we would find, we would put you on a course of binders. So what I would do with my clients is run a what's called an HTMA hair mineral analysis test. And this gives us levels of both your minerals and your heavy metals. So we know if you are mineral deficient and how we can support that status so that it can support your body and the whole process. But it also is going to show us specifically what heavy metals are showing up and in what amounts. And so this can be really helpful to get us started on a specific detoxification protocol. And one of the things that we would do immediately if we found heavy metals was, again, support the minerals, but we would also bind. And something with heavy metals that's nice to do, especially if more than one is showing up, is to use multiple binders. There are things like Pectosol C, zeolite, GI Detox, bentonite clay, activated charcoal. Some have blends of each other in them. But it's nice to be on a couple because each one will bind to different things. And so if you have multiple heavy metals or you begin to detoxify, you want to make sure that you're grabbing those things as well and helping your body get them out, because if they're just kind of starting to float around a little bit, you're going to feel sick.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, thank you, Kylene. This is always fun and interesting, and please make sure that you leave questions for us. I see we have some comments that we'll make sure we go back to. So, hey Kelly, hey Shelly, all. So
hi Shelly,
anyway,
hi Jean.
Thanks for watching.
Hi Abigail.
And
hi Jennifer.
Kylene will put her information in the comments so that people can know how to reach her with extra questions, or if you want to get any kind of testing done. I've worked with Kylene to heal my gut, and if you want to talk offline about the results that I've seen, I'm so happy to do that. And have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank
and
you.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.